Good evening. Tonight, we're going to be doing some more Crystalline Conflict PvP, but this time, we're doing it with Machinist instead of Red Mage. Might not change much, but we'll see. I believe tonight it's starting with what's it called? Palaistra, which is the arena that I normally call Speedway, or a lot of people call it the normal one. And we're not doing frontline, we're doing ranked matches. I'm hoping I'll get at least to rank level 21 on the series tonight, but it would be really awesome if we can get to 22. Not that there's any rush to get it, we still have months left until that is over. And we're entering the long queue time of the day, maybe, or not. There we are. Just need to switch to the Crystalline Conflict HUD layout. That makes it a bit easier. Putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm the only DPS against their only DPS, you could say. I was the only DPS, right? There was 2 healers and 2 tanks, right? Yes, on both teams. That's an interesting interesting start. I'll see what I can do. I haven't really played much Machinist in Crystalline Conflict as a whole, because I've, played mostly Red Mage in Ranked. And I mostly play Ranked. We'll see if I can emulate some of the tricks I've seen other players use. Oh. And there's the first blood. And I'm really taking a beating. I switched target incorrectly. friend. I'll move the crystal. I'm waiting for my cooldowns anyway. This is not the time to use the Machinist limit break. This was. I was really hoping I'd get it. That is the right choice. The astrologian is suggesting we fall back. Oh, there's an enemy Sage limit break. Priority target. Yeah, I tried. That was a lot of damage all at once. Don't feel like I can do much here. We had a good start, but then something went wrong. I felt very helpless in the later half of the fight. Oh, this is not a good spot to be in. We need to push all the way. Yeah, I can't make this. we're outnumbering them, but we need to stay on the crystal. That's causing a little bit of positional problems. Makes it easier for the enemy to plan their attacks. We're getting a little further. Everyone on the enemy team's dead. Maybe we can make it before they can stop us. Whew! That was a really difficult first match. Whew! But we got there. Somehow. And did a lot of damage. Oh. It's really rough when you get to the point where you need your team as a machinist, because you don't have a lot of utility alone. Oh, back in we go, as soon as the queue will let us. And that was quick. Into a diamond match, presumably. Well, diamond match, that would be mainly diamond players, platinum players or crystal players, we'll see. And it's there's a gold player on the team. I think that was the same astrologian as last match, so this can be really good. This could turn out really nice. But now the enemy team is the only one with a tank, although Dark Knight is a little weird for a tank. The best we have is a ninja in terms of tankiness, and I doubt they're going to lead the charge. But the priority targets, there are plenty of those. I wonder if I should be careful with the red mage. Knowing how I might play, there's a good chance that the red mage is gonna charge at me or the bard, or any of the healers for that matter, really quickly when they see an opening. Is someone taking the sneak route? They are. Now they're not. He got the first blood. Nope. I didn't see the Phantom Rush coming. I'm just wailing away at the enemies, completely forgetting to use guard. Ha! The snipe from across the arena. That never gets old. Oh, we got the chainsaw proc. Ah, I was 1 second too greedy. I should have just waited for analysis. It's going really well. There's a Sage limit break probably upcoming. Oh, you're not getting away. Nice. And we're on a streak too. Excellent. Now that snipe from across the arena, that is the quintessential Machinist experience. And I got it in the second match too. That white mage and the monk. Actually, this is all players from the previous match. And that's the sage again. And there's a machinist on the other team, and that's the ninja from the previous match, and that paladin. Looks like there's maybe like 15 people in the queue. Maybe a bit more. Or it's because we 10 just queue at the same time. Or 9. I think there's one replacement in the machinist. That we haven't seen yet, I mean. Now, their machinist is probably going to be watching our bard and red mage a little closer than me. Just like I'm going to be watching their white mage and sage a little closer. Because they do have less health. Meaning that the surprise snipe would be a lot easier to perform. Now they have the tank, so they're probably gonna get the initial exchange started. That's a bad choice. Wait, do we have someone in their midst? Why? Ah, the cover. We need to get to the crystal right now. We got one. That dot one is not super fun. Ah, the timing was off. Now that Machinist has their limit break and I don't have mine to counter. I might be dead. Yeah, that was the drill. Kinda expected that. It's a very even match, it feels like. But those can often flip very suddenly, like when we have 3 dead. Wait, where did my bishop turret land? That's the drill again. I'm putting myself in a very precarious position repeatedly right now. Is there anything we can do to save this? I think it might be a big no. Can stop them for a few seconds. But they have a ninja limit break. That's still a good match. Hey Ralo, how you doing? We're doing Diamond Crystalline Conflict with Machinist. And we already had the experience of sniping someone across the entire arena with Marksman's Spite, the limit break, in the second match, no less. Good to hear you're Gucci. No, we're not even in Crystal rank yet. But we are in Diamond 5, and not Platinum 1, although that could rather quickly change. We're 3 matches away from dropping down again. Have you gotten into PvP, Ralo? And also, I believe you bought a hairstyle from the Island Sanctuary the other day, right? Did it turn out to be as good as you wanted it to be? You're taking a break from PvP. And the new hairstyle looks good. That's good. So do you mean that you did PvP in last season, or did you farm all the items you wanted from this season and called it quits? The Machinist from the previous match is in this match again. Going on ahead, you say? Is that a good idea? Oh, there's a little bit of an FPS spike there. Oh, can we survive this? Oh, I see the Machinist is onto me. He gave away his position with the blast charges on me. Should have stayed, the Paladin had cover on me. Did we just get a double kill? Do I need to do anything? Oh, wait, how did I survive that? Paladin? Yeah, it's best to regroup here. Maybe we can bait the Paladin to do something dumb. Like that. How am I alive? That was so much resources spent on me specifically. Only for me to die anyway. You know, Rallo, I actually already managed to get a chainsaw proc and a limit break kill from across the arena in like the first 2 matches. So I've been extremely lucky already. Hey Lowell, you finished Endwalker. That's awesome. So what do you think? Is it as good as people give it credit for? Yeah, to be continued. You actually completed all of the new content as well? That's awesome. It's really great to hear. Oh, can we get the red mage? No, they were too far behind. Bye. Very nice to have an attack where you can just say you're dead, which isn't quite the same with Red Mage, where it takes a few steps. Whoa, that's a lot of damage. No, you are not going to survive this. My friend, that is not happening today. Yeah, hey Pokechek. Limit break goes burr. It's so nice to just have a button to just go, no, you didn't cheat death there. Yeah, I can imagine, Lou. Well, no more. Oh, we can't talk about that because spoilers. At least not for you, but now Pokeshak's here. It's always better to be a little bit careful with spoilers in a public chat, just in case someone gets, like, hops in quietly. And Rallo says, I wish there was chat in PvPs just so I could get a death threat. No, we don't want that. I think it's a healthy choice that they decided that there was no chat allowed in ranked. Just the fact that people decide to waste their time on, like, marking people repeatedly when they do something they don't like, that's enough to know that if they could chat with you, it would be far worse. And they'd be wasting their time writing messages instead of, you know, playing the game. Duel says, perfect timing too, with Overwatch coming out in just 30 minutes. Oh, you're gonna play a lot of Overwatch now? Or are you going to be continuing the raid? So did you mean that Machinist was perfect timing? You're working on doing all the raids. How far have you gotten in the on that list? Like, are you working from A Realm Reborn, or are you working from Endwalker? I think the people that I've been queued with the last many matches just went without me. 8-minute queue. We'll be doing the weeklies and dailies, of course, but Overwatch will consume for a bit, I'm assuming, and then you're working from Endwalker. Okay, so you're working on Abyssos and Asphodelos. Or is it Asphodelos? It's difficult. I guess Asphodelos would be 2 L's, right? It also helps that you can now more confidently watch content if you want, without getting spoiled. There's not gonna be, like, as much cases where you watch a video and then you just get a showcase of something that you haven't seen yet. Just remember, when you finally reach the point when where there's nothing else, like nothing new to experience, you don't have to do Savage or Extreme raiding if you don't want to. You don't have to be a raider. There's so much else you can do in the game, so there's no requirement to do that. And people can often feel like, well, I've reached the end game, the next content on the list is Savage, so I should be doing Savage. But you don't have to, it's entirely optional. It's only like a certain percentage of the player base that participates in it. I don't know how big that percentage is, but I would assume that it is definitely less than half of the player base. Which means that the majority of players don't play Savage Raid. Probably. And you Fantasia to a female aura. Yes, yes. Small dragons. I tell you. They can do something. They're very adorable. Just like Lalafels. Lou says, my next goal is to get your classes to 90. That is a good goal. That was the first thing I worked on when I completed the Endwalker story. Back, you know, in December, January. And Ralo says, does your mathematical and medical degree help you play the game better? I don't have a medical degree. I do not have that. I have an applied mathematics degree, and I don't know if it helps me play better. I think there's a better chance that my 17 or so years of playing games like Final Fantasy XIV, mainly, you know, World of Warcraft, and then Final Fantasy XIV, is probably what's helping me play better, rather than my university degree. But I do think that my mathematics degree helps me understand certain things in the game better. How the game works on a program, code basis, why things happen in a certain order might be easier for me to understand on a case-by-case basis, because I've, you know, done coding myself. I have a pretty good idea of how they made things based on how things happen. And then the mathematics helps me determine whether you should use your AoE on 3 or 4 targets, right? And Mail says, Miko Master Race. Hey, you know, isn't Mikote the most popular race in the game? I'm pretty sure that there's statistics on this, and they tend to be the most popular one. So, I mean, you would be right. No debate there. But you don't have to play the master race if you yourself personally like a different one. This queue is really long all of a sudden. And look, there's a summoner practicing. Out in the distance, you see the slipstream. It lights up the night. Let's see, Mail says, I think there was a time when Viera was top, but that didn't last. Yeah, that would be strange because of how long Mikote has been in the game compared to Viera. And Luel says the most popular is male Hue. Female Mikote is second. I'm sorry to say that there's a really, really good chance that the reason why there's so many male Hue might be bot related. Because I believe when you open the character creator, it starts on male Hue, and the bot doesn't care what they are, so they'll just be that, no problem. So there is a genuine probability, depending on how the statistic is made, that it might count bots. And Raulo says, if Aura wasn't in the game, what race would you be? And Lowell says, Kaiser would be a Lalafell for sure. Yes, 100%. My first character was actually a male Mikote, but I think I've told this story before that. I literally played the trial of the game for 1 day, bought it the next day, because back then Aura wasn't part of the free trial. So I deleted the character and made this character, and I've never changed her since. Mail says, or when they unlocked Derblander's scruffy facial hair. Was that when Viera got less popular? Or when Male Hero got most popular? There's a lot of damage on the enemy team. Wow. This is actually the super firepower match. We have nothing with over 53,000 health. This is gonna be really, really scary. I don't like this. I prefer my matches a little slower so I can be faster. This is very confusing. Oh, what? Oh, my team had my back, so they covered me when I got attacked. Ah, I was trying to be silly with the analysis on the chainsaw. I think that Machinist is gonna drill me. Nah! Oh wait, we got him. I think I'm gonna survive, but we are not gonna win this. The enemy has just been reliably pushing the crystal for the entire match. And we have hardly noticed. No, says I definitely think it's female Mikota as top then, and then male here, from my experience at least. Oh, okay. That was a rough match. Male says, according to Civ Census, male hero is highest of all, but I think it's likely due to bots, like you said. It's difficult to say. I can't remember. I believe Civ Census has like a different scale on max level characters, where they like determine it based on how many have the achievement for completing the Endwalker story, like the first 90 levels. And then they have a separate scale for all characters, and I would imagine bots would probably influence the all characters one heavily, because it might be difficult to like tell the difference. And yeah, male says, at endgame, female Mikos are on top with 50,000 more than the second highest, which is female Aura. There you go. I chose female Aura because I think they're cute. That's pretty much the reason. Rallo says, did you choose Machinist or was it a vote? I missed a couple of streams since Gundam Overwatch has been fun to play. Fair enough. No, I chose to play Machinist myself because I came to the conclusion that every single stream, at least like the 2 previous streams, I very reliably complained about enemy Machinists. Like, every time there was a Machinist on the enemy team, I got a little, you know, I deflate a bit, like, oh man. And every time I would see a red mage on the enemy team, I would be like, oh phew, at least it's not a Machinist. But if your job that you're playing in PvP is not the job that you would think is the most intimidating job, like, you're not afraid of your own job, does that mean that it's because you know that how to play around your job, or is it because you know that your job can't do anything threatening enough for you to care to play around your job? And it doesn't really matter which one is the correct answer, because I found Machinist intimidating and I didn't find Red Mage intimidating. So I concluded that the best choice was to be, well, maybe I should just play a Machinist if I think they're so scary, right? So I didn't make a vote out of it. I decided to play Machinist. I would also think that I would need to choose like a list of 5 jobs to make a reasonable vote on that subject. And I don't think that I would want to offer up 5 different jobs, because there's not like, I would find it really difficult to play certain jobs in PvP, and I wouldn't leave that up to my team. I want to play Machinist because I'm pretty confident I know how to play Machinist. I believe I've explained how like the tricks of the Machinist on previous streams, and then switched back to Red Mage and queued, right? So I know sort of how to play Machinist and Red Mage, so I know what to expect when a Red Mage is on the enemy team. And I would say that Red Mage is one of the more intimidating things to fight as a Machinist. But I would say the Machinist is scarier, which is why I'm playing it. Mail says, I feel sad that Femros are the lowest played at endgame. Makes me glad my alt is one. I think that's the reason, almost. A lot of people like the idea of Regadants, especially female Regadants, for whatever reason. But they like to see them but not play them themselves, maybe? I don't know. I really don't know. I just, as you can see, I choose the very short characters personally, and it has nothing to do with PvP reasons, unlike, was it Yoshi P that plays a Lalafell because it makes him shorter, which he believes makes it harder to target him in PvP or something like that. I believe there was a fun fact like that, that's the reason why he's a Lalafell. For optimization reasons, which I think is really funny. Ronald says, I can't wait for the day you play Ninja in PvP. Why Ninja? I actually, back in Season 1, my first ranked match as Ninja, I believe I had 20 kills? Because it was like a 15-minute long match, and I had multiple limit break streaks where I would, kill 3 or 4 people in one limit break chain. Ninja is really weird like that. And fortunately, that trick has been nerfed. Before, every time you killed someone with the Ninja limit break, you got another 10 seconds to do it again. So if you could just, keep the chain rolling, then you could keep your limit break forever. And then eventually your limit break bar would fill up again, and then you would be able to, start the whole process over again. But now I believe they added a feature or a mechanic where every time you successfully do it, the duration of the buff becomes 1 second shorter or something like that. Let me just check that. Yeah, so it lasts 8 seconds, not 10. And the person just has to die within 5 seconds. But every time you get a kill, the duration of the following free limit break is gonna last 1 second less. So you would be down to 4 seconds to do the last player, and when the limit break duration is that short, you will not be able to chain it indefinitely, because even if you killed every single person on the enemy team, the next person would, take around 15 seconds before they're even back on the field. And Mail says, Lalas remind me too much of gnomes in WoW. Couldn't stand gnomes. I've never liked, I have found it difficult to create a gnome character that I liked looking at, so to speak. Like, they're difficult to customize in a way that I think I would appreciate. But Lalafells, I think, is a different story. It's just, I think it's more that the more anime aesthetic of Final Fantasy XIV makes it easier to make cuter characters, where World of Warcraft's more cartoonish aesthetic makes it easier to make silly-looking characters for the most part. Which is not supposed to be a bad thing. It's just that most of the World of Warcraft characters have kind of interesting proportions, which makes them look almost cartoonish, which makes the art style last way better than if they had made the game hyper-realistic. If you know what I mean. Rala says it's easy game, easy life for you. That's why. Why would Ninja be easy? I don't know. Because I got 20 kills? I don't think that's gonna be a repeat. Yeah, I could try Ninja. But right now we're playing Machinist. Personally, I felt like when I thought about it that Ninja is really difficult because you have a lot of avenues to do things wrong. So there's a lot of things to learn, when to use certain actions and stuff like that. I don't know, but Ninja, I think if I were to make like a which job should I play PvP as next vote, it would probably, you know, include Ninja and Machinist and maybe Black Mage, maybe even Summoner. But the main thing that I would look for is to try and avoid a melee job, because I feel like the biggest downfall for me is that I'm not that great at choosing my spots with melee jobs, and that does in fact include the red mage itself. Oh, we got them. Did I eat every single cooldown they had? By just walking up to them? Did that Machinist just walk up and down smash? Ow. Now that's a lot of damage. Friend, I don't know what you're trying to achieve here. Oh boy. Ah, because I died mid-limit break, it just didn't go through. I was really hoping I could trade for the Black Mage. That was a huge mistake on my part. Which healing class is your favorite in PvP? I don't know. I think Scholar is really cool, like in the way it's designed. They have so much crowd control, it's absurd. That paladin they have is really good. Like, they have figured out that we don't want to waste our resources on dealing with the paladin, so they just run up to us as if they're actually invulnerable. And their team is really good at having their back. Ah. Hey, Siri's leveled up. Rala says you like Scholar. Alright, next PvP class already. I mean, if I was forced to play a healer in PvP, ultimately I would probably end up playing White Mage, just because the toolkit that they have is probably the easiest to use among the healers. Which is probably the main reason why they gave off this impression of being incredibly overpowered. They might also be overpowered. Something, miracle of nature and all that. But they keep getting like a little nerf to something almost every single patch. So eventually they'll be in line. Hopefully. Crimson Framers kit. But Mail says, I took a level 50 alt into Crystalline Conflict for the first time. It's a warrior. We somehow won, so I decided to retire her from PvP, undefeated. And untied. Fair. I have a 100% win rate. How many wins do you have? 1. That's really funny. Warrior is also deceptively difficult to play in PvP because of, like, you might think because they have all that insane self-healing in their toolkit, but 2 of their actions cost a significant amount of the warrior's health. I think it's like, is it 10 and 20% of their health? So, like, that's also part of the reason why warrior has so much health, is because they're going to be spending it on attacking. And warrior can prevent you from using guard for about 10 seconds, that's true. And during, I think, isn't it 15? Maybe we can check it. See, enemies in front of you are unable to use guard for 15 seconds, and also for 15 seconds, you get Thrill of Battle and Inner Release, where Thrill of Battle gives you 20% more health and heals you for 20% of your health immediately. And Inner Release increases the potency of Chaotic Cyclone and Primal Rend. Which is painful to say the least. 16,000. Which one is it that turns into that? Oh, it's Bloodweighting, of course it is. That makes sense. And your 1, 2, 3 combo turns into Fell Cleave. That's just 12,000 potency every weapon skill for 15 seconds. And your opponent can't guard for 15 seconds. In a, in a Crystalline Conflict match, the most useful part about that limit break is the you can't use guard, because warrior alone can't really kill anyone through their healing, because they need to do more than 16,000 per GCD to do that, because the opponent can just, spam heals through that. But that's also, like, warrior and machinist are 2 of the jobs that has some sort of counterplay to guard, in that warrior can prevent it entirely and machinist can use drill. And wildfire, I believe wildfire also deals its full damage through guard if you use it during, like, when someone isn't guarding. If I remember correctly, that matters. And that is the paladin from the previous match, isn't it? They're saying I'm going ahead. That makes sense. Is that what they did last match? Just charge up to the enemy who's so confused by the paladin that isn't scared of dying? Mail says, the warrior opener tends to be Primal Rend into the enemy group. As you get higher and higher rank, what's the... Oh, now the ninja's coming. As you get higher rank, people get more and more prepared for that. and will try to spread out when they see the warrior stun coming. And at some point, people will want you to do it because it puts you in a really, really bad position defensively if you miss the multiple stuns. I'll push the crystal. A little bit. I'll be a stopgap for the crystal. Oh wow! They just died outright, huh? I'm in a really bad spot right now, I feel like. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I got really, really greedy there. Mail says, I usually see that on Wednesday, since there's really only 2 corners to hide behind. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we traded really nicely there. Shouldn't have wasted analysis on that. That's really good. We kill someone just as the enemies are coming back alive. So they're gonna be stuck 4 people for an extra 10 seconds or so. Oh, I'm in a very, very confused spot right now. Need a moment to figure out where I am and what I need to do. Ah. Mail says you've been tempted to play Dark Knight because it plays like the classic Dark Knight. Oh, there was a frame drop there? I think that frame drops are related to my stream delay, which is extremely short. Yeah. That wasn't so good either. We might if we're not fine. I was heavily out of position. I was trying to kill someone off quickly. And I forgot the part where... Wait, what? Oh, right. So just to recap, time ran out. My team was like 1% ahead, which was the original reason why I dived onto the crystal and used guard a moment earlier to prevent the enemy from progressing any further. And then we pushed it back a little bit. Then time ran out, and the enemy wasn't on the crystal, so it skipped overtime and gave us the victory automatically. That's really funny. Yeah, Mail, actually, I think there's a lot of jobs where, and I said this back in Season 1, that one thing I really liked about PvP, and I felt like was one of the best reasons people had to try out PvP, was because of the, you could say, more open area and space the developers had to work with. They had more opportunities to like actually make the jobs the way that they should be in the game. Like in PvE, Dark Knight, as they are in Final Fantasy normally, where they spend health to attack, would be a disaster. Like it would be absolutely a disaster, and the only way to fix that would be, oh yeah, but Dark Knight also heals incredibly hard. But that would also be, like, the only way to make that good enough for a tank is to make it too strong. You know, a little bit like Warrior's Bloodwedding, maybe. Just even more regularly. Because you need to be able to generate the resource that you're spending, right? It makes sense. But in PvP, it's not a problem. Because you never needed a tank, like a tank to begin with. Okay, so how can we do it differently? Okay, we have an opponent named Stillness or Stillness. Can we bring that kill home? No, I don't think we can. Ow. Somehow I ended up being the first blood. That snuck up on me. And out here serving lunches and just find out that I am actually the dinner. Oh dear. That was a really bad start. It looked really good and then it wasn't. Yeah. I heard a ninja limit break, but I didn't hear a kill. No reason to use my limit break when we're this much ahead. Need to save it for the next exchange. And the ninja's hanging back, it makes sense. Oh, I'd rather not be the front. On it. That's really not what you want to see right now. when we're in such a close match, wasting a limit break. Oh! Dragoon limit break. Okay, I have nothing left to survive with. I have to run. What? The ninja covered me with their limit break. That was amazing. What's happening? Ah, ninja limit break. And there's another one. Are they just gonna chain through our entire team? Yep, they are. We're pretty much lost if their crystal reaches the 50% mark. They're much closer to finishing than us, and time is running out right now. Yeah, I know. I know we need to push it. And their Dragoon has limit break, so we're cooked. I don't know what we're going to do about that. Here it comes. Oh well. Mail says, plus Dark Knight can be so annoying when their Living Dead kicks in and they stay on the crystal. Yeah. That's another thing where how people deal with that depends greatly on like the average skill level in the match, I think. Like if you're in the lower ranks, people are less likely to check the buffs and stuff, which means that they're going to be attacking the Dark Knight because they're low health. But unsuccessfully killing them. At higher ranks, people are more likely to just try their best to ignore the Dark Knight because you can't kill them anyway. The best you can do is try and not waste your damage, and then as the Dark Knight closes in on, you know, their Living Dead running out, that's when you crowd control them and switch and kill them outright. I'm not saying that it is that simple. But the idea is that at higher ranks, the tricks with Dark Knights just jumping in and using Living Dead is a lot more dependent on the 20-something thousand damage that it does when you use it, than the fact that you're not dying. I think. I think Paladin might be the stronger for that specific purpose, but now I haven't played very much Paladin or Dark Knight in PvP because honestly I'm not that good at playing tanks in PvP in my experience, which is why I'm not doing that. And yeah, I sold a few things. 4,000 something. I sold a chromite ingot and a palladium nugget from items that I desynthed earlier today. I think. I've also made around 300,000, I believe, of the items that I got in the mount farm, if you guys saw that. Because I got some scales and things like that. I do believe Ralu was there. And Luel was there? I can't remember if Mail was there, but I think Mail often shows up for PvP streams. Does the Machinist basic attack deal static damage? Yes. It does only 4000 damage, but if you do 5 of them in somewhat quick succession, it turns into Heat Blast, which does 6000 and can be used 3 times in the time allotted. So that means that you're going to be doing 4000 damage 5 times, and then within less than 5 seconds you can do 18,000 damage. That's not that impressive when you know that drill is a thing. So Bard is the only one penalized for being close. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Machinist almost wants to get up close because of Scattershot. The reason why I get myself in so precarious positions often is because one of my best kill combos is to use Wildfire on someone and then Scattergun Drill. That deals a total of, let's see, 12,000, 12,000, 20,000. So 44,000 damage. And if something increases the damage they take from anything, then that's going to be very close to lethal. It often scares people so much that they spiral into spamming heals, and if you have any party support at all, that kills them. Especially if they try to guard after the scattergun. Because the drill and the wildfire is completely going to ignore the guard. And Mail says, Bard is the only one penalized for being close, right? That was what I was talking about. How bad is it? Well, the fact that Bard does 4,000 at close range, but 6,000 at max range, or at long range, because it's not even max range, means that it's compared to Machinist, it's more like Bard is getting rewarded for being far away than penalized for being close, but it's common to flip it and say, rather than going, you're getting a DPS boost for doing this, it's more like, you're getting a DPS loss for not doing this. Which is very normal. In PvE, it's not like people say, oh yeah, you should use your OGCD attacks because it's a DPS boost to do so. People are more likely to say that it is a DPS loss not to, right? Rallo says, you should 1v1 your friends in the PvP arena. None of them really want to PvP. If you remember Sip, he said that just doing like 2 Crystalline Conflict matches exhausts him to the point where he doesn't want to play anymore. Because he finds it very difficult, which is understandable. So it could be fun, but I don't think it would be fun for everyone. Nail says, but in situations where I need to guard the crystal, I need to sacrifice damage to do it. Yeah. Well, it's not so bad. Remember that melee jobs, they can't, like, if they want to push the crystal, that's more in like an aggressive fashion. They have to choose between pushing and fighting if the enemy isn't pushing back. Which means that that can be a DPS loss in its own way. So it's like there's wins and losses all around. Wait, the red mage just ran in? But are we doing that? Are you sure you want to do that? I don't want to do that. Is that what we... Guys, we need a call. We need a call out here. What are we doing? This is a terrible match. And we ended up in this situation because the red mage kept baiting them. What? And now we're losing someone because they're going Rambo. Maybe? Where's my team? Red mage is down this way, and so is the bard. So we go down this way. Ow. That was a sudden lot of damage. If your friend does 3 Crystalline Conflict a day, win or lose, he'll get to rank 25 in under 2 months. Fair point. I believe that's sort of what he did in the first season, but he also did a lot of frontline. Where's my team? Uh-oh. Okay, we got the ninja's chain stopped. Ah, I didn't see the Dragoon limit break. Mail says, I'm just not a fan of frontline. The 3 teams make it too RNG for me. Yeah, I can see that. There's just also a lot of janky strategies that makes it a little strange just in general. Oh. Didn't need to use my limit break for that. If we can hold them from pushing for like a minute, then we go into overtime at the very least. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not sure, but that's an option. There was a ninja limit break that possibly went to waste. Let's hope. Okay, how did I survive that? I'm dead, but five 16,000 mega flares hitting at the same time. That is so excessive 4 is plenty to kill everything. Oh no, that's a guard. We did it. Whew. Go big or go home. Yeah, the thing that you can, you know, queue up together as a team and do stuff like that is also a little ridiculous. You know, if you were going to go as 5 of the same job anyway, right, Mail? Let me just show you something. You know how Soul Resonance means you can use Flare or Freeze 6 times? I'm just saying it does 12,000 damage. And I believe it's only like Warrior and Reaper that has more than 60,000 health. I think. So you could be 5 black mages and just walk up to someone and just simultaneously drop a freeze on them, and if they don't die, you just weave super flare, and then, you know, it does like an extra 3,000 damage or so. And just one of you has to use freeze, really, or use super flare, I mean. But I can see how 5 mega flares, that's a way bigger area and easier to coordinate. You know, you just go, okay guys, so we're gonna, you see the flag over there? You just drop it somewhere in that area, and then we just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, and then things die. Much easier rather than black mages where you have to go, okay, Bob, you see the red mage there? We get him specifically, and then you have to, you know, switch, and you have, you know, a GCD worth of time to switch. You like the spectacle of 5 Bahamut's coming out of nowhere too. Fair point. It's especially funny when they stack on top of each other, so they have 5 pairs of wings and 5 heads. I can see it, and those Bahamut's are going to be auto-attacking as well. So, oh, we have a map change. This might be really problematic because this map is supposed to favor melee, I believe. Yeah, Volcanic Heart. Rado says, does Dancer need a buff? Do you mean in PvE or PvP? In PvP, I don't know. I don't think I play enough PvP to be a very good authority on the subject. But I don't see a lot of dancers. But whenever I do see them, they tend to be quite devastating. Sometimes. Now, I believe that comes down to, if you play, if there is a job in PvP that is not very common, like not a lot of people like to play it, then that means that the people that do play it are probably the mains, you know, the people that exclusively play it. Which means that every single dancer you're gonna meet are probably really good at playing dancer. So they make the job feel a lot scarier, because every time you see a dancer, they're probably pretty good. But I think the biggest benefit of having a dancer on your team is the limit break. Simply because the limit break makes it easier for your party to clump up enemies for other limit breaks. So let's say, for example, a dancer in just a team of random jobs is fine. If you specifically happen to know that there is a white mage on the team, then the dancer can drag you in with their limit break slowly, which allows the white mage to line up their limit break, which is another stun. And those two stuns back to back allows much more devastating limit breaks, like Bahamut, to safely be dropped on the enemy team while they can't use guard. Or Dragoon's limit break, was it Sky Shadow Dive, or what's it called? Sky High. Sky Shatter. And if you don't have those kinds of limit breaks on your team, then the dancer's limit break doesn't feel that intimidating anymore. It's just, oh no, I get dragged in for a couple seconds and I'm stunned. But if the enemy doesn't have anything to capitalize on that, then dancer feels pretty weak. But in a team where they do have something that can capitalize on it, then yeah, it's pretty strong. It's funny because the reason why dancer is in a bit of an interesting position in PvE is similar. Dancer's DPS, it's like the dancer's own DPS, is not that incredible in PvE. But if they use close position on a samurai who does really good DPS, then the dancer, by extension, does a lot better DPS. So it depends a little bit on your team composition whether dancer is good or not. And we have Tony Hawkins. Steve Hart. But in conclusion, I don't know if dancer needs a buff in PvP. Personally, I find dancer and sage, for that matter, far too confusing to play in PvP because you have to keep a watch on who your cardia is on or your closed position, and consider switching it if they're dead or too far away, and things like that. And I also see Kin Svive was the paladin we played earlier. They're apparently a white mage now. I wonder if it's because they don't like playing paladin on Volcanic Heart. That was an interesting choice to use your Reaper limit break there. I felt like I was completely surrounded for a very long time. Okay, eruptions are coming, so this makes Bioblast a really good choice to use analysis on, because if we can slow someone into the explosions, that's a free 30,000 damage. No more play. You're out. Go home. Ah, I didn't have analysis. Yeah, this is a really good example of how Dancer is really scary. They're using the Dancer limit break to force us into the Reaper limit break. Ha! Looks like I saw someone out of the corner of my eye with less than 36,000 health. And they didn't expect the limit break either. Oh no. Yeah. That was thanks to the healers that I survived there. Ah. Now we have the big scramble. They need to push the crystal. And we just need to get them off for a moment. Just a moment. Is that necessary? Fall back and regroup. What? Ah, cover. Doesn't matter though. You'll just kill the paladin instead. Nice. Now we have the double tank. Whether we want that or not is hard to say. Memento Mori. Doesn't that mean something special in, like, Latin? And there's a dancer on the other team again, and it's paired with a white mage and a summoner and a it's almost like the exact team composition that I read love to before Ralo has just appeared out of thin air to match with a dancer. Okay, what do we do? Oh, so close. The saber dance got me. Okay. I got it. Ow. Ha! Gotcha! Ha! Too late! Your invuln will not save you. I want to get away. Okay, I saw the Dancer's limit break coming. It was a little late. I still got hit by it, but it didn't do much because it was so far out of reach that they couldn't do anything with it. Hopefully, I've left them in a good enough position that I can safely resurrect. Yeah, exactly, Rella. Shoot them into the bomb and get that insta kill. I think I got one with it. Was that when you said it? This is very confusing. It looks like we're winning. Yeah. And on a streak too. That summoner. Wow. I clearly did mostly like specific damage, like extremely specific targets and stuff like that. Because I didn't do that much damage, but I do feel like I contributed something to the party. But I guess bomb kills don't count. I feel like this PvP stream is going a lot better than last week. We're actually progressing again. Now we're like 5 matches away from dropping back down to Platinum. So I think it was ultimately a good choice to switch to Machinist. Works better with how I like to play. And how I can get a little hyper-focused on killing someone specific. It's a little easier when you have drill to just insist, you could say that. Or just if you see someone that is close to death, you can just turn and shoot them. Now we're back in Platinum matches again, it seems. Or, well, the last match was also that, because I recognize a lot of the names. Unless those are all the other Diamond players. I'm really happy that we're the ones with the Dragoon. And that one, unlike Machinist, where I feel like I have problems when the enemy has a Machinist specifically, with Dragoon, it feels like to me that there's so many of them around that me, if I chose to be Dragoon, First off, I don't think I'm the best at using it because I would be too trigger happy with the limit break. But at the same time, I would simultaneously be taking a spot that could have been a Dragoon main. Hello, Adam. I see you have written a comment. I'll watch it in a little bit. It's just difficult PvP. Ah, ninja limit break. Miles says, needs more creative portraits. Adam says, hello Mr. Streamer, thank you for the easy to follow informative guides that you've produced. I've just started playing again and came across your stuff. Thank you so much. I'm glad you find them helpful. That's really what matters the most to me. That people get something out of them. Can I survive this? What? 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 What happened? Was that a Dragoon limit break? Everyone on the enemy team just died simultaneously. Thank you so much, Adam. Are you scared? That's a real question. Of what? Ah. That paladin is a hero. I think I'm dead. Maybe. Ah, I think I killed the paladin. In my attempt to help him. I didn't help him, first of all. I feel like the paladin is making a grave mistake by repeatedly using cover on me specifically. It's really bothering me. Somehow we won though. Somehow. And I got a commendation for that performance, I guess. I feel like I got the paladin killed like at least twice. At least. More diamond. Now we're diamond 3. I think we're 7 matches away from dropping to platinum now. We're getting to the point where we're pretty safe. I would need to play terribly to drop back down to platinum within, you know, a single stream. I don't know if Adam already jumped off the stream. You scared about that? About dropping down to platinum? Well, last stream we went from diamond, like low diamond 5, to platinum 1. So it could happen again. I'm not scared about it because I don't really care. Like, if we get to a high rank, cool. If we don't, that's fine. The best part about playing ranked is that you'll get matched with equally skilled players-ish. So if I am worth, like if I'm skilled enough to be worthy of being Crystal, then I'll eventually reach Crystal. If I'm not good enough, then I won't reach Crystal. Okay, Adam, I just wanted to let you know that on these streams, you're always welcome to ask questions. Like, if there's something you'd thought about, for instance, in a job guide, you can always leave a comment, as I always say. And I will get back to you. I respond to all comments as best as I can. But you can also ask me here on stream to get, like, a real-time answer if you prefer to have it like that. Wow! That was impressive. Impressively comboed to get 3 of us stacked on top of each other dead at once. That might be easier to just let them get the initial exchange and try and get it back. You're waiting for your mud mask to dry. Sounds nice. Wow. Their Dragoon in particular is really good at that whole wombo combo style. And it seems they're not alone. And Edgestorm I have fought before, so I wonder what got into him. I don't feel like he always is that strong. Mail says, here's the question. If a paladin covers you and guards, and then a machinist uses a buffed drill on you, will it go through the paladin's guard? Based on how, like, debuffs and stuff get basically redirected to the paladin, I would assume that it would just be as if the drill got cast on the paladin in the first place. Wow. This might be a grim match to turn around, if it's even possible. I think it relies entirely on whether we can abuse the bombs so heavily that we can somehow put them in a losing position from that. Mail says, that's the same Dragoon that has been bouncing back and forth between your team and the enemy team for a while now. Yeah, exactly. It's like Edge Storm, and then one other Dragoon. What was his name? Yeah, this is the end of the win streak, it seems. That teamwork was absolutely insane. Like, multiple times throughout this match, they managed to just dunk on us all together at the same time. I can't say anything other than that. That was very impressive. Wow. Well, that does not deter me. We go in again. Sometimes we get those kind of trades, sometimes the enemy gets them. That's how it feels when they get them. And actually, I realized what the problem was. The warrior used Primal Rend and stunned 3 of us because we didn't properly space out, like I said. I think we talked about that earlier, right, Mail? That the reason why warrior just jumping in with Primal Rend immediately should be worse in higher ranks is because people are better at being spread out. But it doesn't really work like that if we don't spread out, right? Not the brightest light bulb moment there. So who gets Edge Storm this time? Aha, we have Edge Storm. We've practically won. A samurai. Wasn't Sora Sarajas a different job earlier? I feel like they were a tank, but I can't put my finger on what they were. Have they always been a summoner? Anyway, I think the big game plan here is to not be stacked closely with anyone, because there's a warrior on the enemy team, and after that fiasco on the last match, we don't want to do that. We don't want to repeat that. And I also need to be better at actually placing my auto turret. I keep forgetting to do that because I'm too focused on hiding. Wow. That's wild. I need to be more careful. I feel like I'm doing something terribly wrong these recent matches. But I don't feel like I'm doing anything particularly different. I don't think we should just run in, though. No, that's a terribly bad idea. You sure that's what we want to do, Steve? I don't have anything left. We might be able to even this out. We might, but it highly depends on whether those three can survive and whether... I'm not sure what the Dragoon is aiming for. He has a limit break. I wonder if he has a specific thing in mind, since he's not using it. I shouldn't have jumped down. Did he cancel his limit break or did it miss or what happened? It felt like it did 0 damage. Those are some rough matches all of a sudden. That's fine. Now it would be very awkward if we dropped all the way down for the rest of the evening now, wouldn't it? After I basically said that there was a very small chance that could happen from mid Diamond 3. There's Steve and Edgestorm on the other team this time. We have quite a squishy team, actually. Ninja is most tanky once again. And our summoner just jumps in. We're in trouble. Our team is just attacking the paladin like there's no tomorrow, and that's exactly what he wants us to do. Ah. Right, a Dragoon limit break. I forgot about that. I'm making a lot of mistakes right now. Like that mistake? Why did I do that? Ah, hallowed ground. Of course. I'm not sure what to do right now. It's a lot of explosions. I shouldn't have stood next to the paladin. Hi, Lewell. As long as you have fun. This match is crazy serious. Yeah, this is insane. I don't feel like we're winning. Even though we're pushing ahead, I don't feel like we're winning. It just feels... I don't know why things are or aren't working. Aha! Sniped. Double kill. Dragoon limit break. Run, 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 run. Hallowed ground. It's overtime and we're behind, I think? Yep, we're just barely behind, so we're gonna lose. Black Mage? Black Mage? Black Mage, are you sure you want to do that? I think this is it. Yep. Yeah, I'm here. 500 miles away. But we got a series level up. Make a new strategy, then you'll get new kills. Adam says, what is a tank ideally supposed to do in a PvP setting? Is it just more freeform than PvE? Actually, each tank plays very differently. The warrior is sort of like a... they're supposed to make like the entries, like the breaks in the enemy's guard, you could say. Which is... let me just see. It's probably easier to explain with the abilities on screen. Primal Rend allows you to like jump into the enemy team for an AoE stun that does some decent damage, which pairs well with Orogeny, which makes enemies deal less damage and is also like AoE damage. So like the warrior jumps in with full health and does 18,000 damage around them and stuns everybody. So if they get help as they go in, that'll give you a great opportunity. They also have like a grip that can pull an enemy in, which is great for like killing a specific select target. And then their limit break prevents guarding. So they're very much designed to just, you know, break a hole in a wall. Meanwhile, Dark Knights are almost like more like a DPS that is just designed to distract the enemy because they're sort of tanky, but they spend their health as a resource. However, they can heal really well too. So a Dark Knight that is at low health doesn't mean that they're close to death. Like, if they manage to land Quietus on the entire enemy team, they heal 40,000 health. And then they're back to full, right? Or almost full. And then their limit break prevents them from dying, so it's good to distract the enemy by being at 1 HP. The Gunbreaker doesn't see very much use because they're very difficult to play, and the difficulty does not like pay itself back. It's not worth it. It's too difficult for no pay for like not any good payback, you could say. But they have the ability to adjust how their abilities work based on what their party needs. They can use this ability called Draw and Junction to like check, like set their junction ability, which also adjusts some of their other abilities. Namely, they can make their combos deal more damage by copying a DPS, make them do AoE healing while attacking by copying a healer, or give themselves very big shields while doing the combos by copying a tank. So they can like adjust their playstyle according to the party's needs. The thing is that often Gunbreakers end up going, I like this particular junction, and will just always junction that kind of role specifically if they can. And then Paladin is the true tank among the tanks. They have a stun, they have an attack that causes healing for the party in Confiteor, which makes it so that everyone that attacks the target gets healed, so it can result in a lot of healing. It says 2000 cure potency here, but every time someone attacks the target that this Sacred Claim debuff is on, they will get 2000 health. And because it lasts 10 seconds, most jobs would feasibly be able to do it like 4 or 5 times, depending on how well they time it. So that's 8000 health per person that decides to do it. And no, it's just the main target, I think, that gets Sacred Claimed. Not entirely sure, it might be an AoE. But they have a stun. They also have an ability that redirects damage to them, which is the only way a tank can actually tank. Other than that, you're just tricking enemies into attacking you, which is what the Paladins seem to be doing very efficiently recently. They have abilities that give you reason to attack them, but they have an ability that redirects damage from a key target to them, which is far more helpful for tanking. I hope that makes sense, Adam. The general idea is that you don't really tank in a PvP setting. It's more like everyone is just a job. Some DPS are also really weird. Like, for instance, Red Mage is more like a melee DPS in PvP, while Ninja is almost more like a ranged DPS in PvP. And healers barely can cast heals, so like they can only cast so many because they're on cooldowns. So it's not like you just spam heals like you would in PvE, for instance. So it's very different. But I can understand the confusion of what is a tank actually supposed to do. And you say Paladin sounds the best to me. Yeah, same. Often when there's a Dark Knight, they tend to like benefit the team by doing damage. You know, they're more like a blue DPS. Warrior stands out. I have to say they stand out because 2 of the matches I had just recently seemed to be heavily based on the fact, like the losses were based on the fact that we didn't respect the warrior. And Paladin seems to be extremely popular these days in PvP. Whether that means it's good or not is hard to say, but if there's a lot of them, there's probably a reason for it. And Brother says, Gunbreaker's too enemy reliant. It works, but you have better chances of winning with the other tanks. Since Gunbreaker's basically a DPS with a lot of HP. I would say Dark Knight is too. Brother says, Nebula is legit so clutch if there is an enemy tank. If you're Gunbreaker though, legit? Maybe what? I don't understand that. Ralu, I'm guessing that you're saying is Nebula is crazy strong? Let's see what Nebula is. It's the ability you get from Junction Tank. It makes you take 20% less damage, and every time someone swings at you in any capacity, you smack them back for 3000 damage, which can add up. Yeah, if you're successfully managing to get the enemy to attack you, then Nebula is really strong. Especially because, you know, it has a 50% uptime. That alone is a huge benefit. 50% uptime, 20% damage reduction, although I believe that's not that impressive in PvP standards. And Lowell says, I haven't touched PvP since I got my hair. Well, I'll say that what got me motivated to do PvP in Season 1 was a combination of jobs being interesting, like these styles where they feel a lot more like the real job identities because it's easier to make them like that in a PvP setting than a PvE setting. Combined with the fact that I wanted the series rewards. Which is actually the main reason why I decided to start the, to consider this PvP series, was because I want this mount. Not that focused on reaching crystal rank, but I really like that mount, and I don't like frontline that much. So I don't do that. Don't do content that you don't enjoy. Oh, by the way, speaking of content, have you guys seen? I don't know how many of you pay attention to me posting this weekly schedule that I make. But on Thursday we're doing more Can I Solo That? So if you have any ideas for things we should try soloing, make sure to either leave a comment on the schedule or let me know here. Because I'd love to have suggestions. If there's no suggestions, I'll probably do some Omega stuff. A little bit of continuing what we did last time, you could say. Just starting with fights that I'm more confident we can actually beat. Noel says, I haven't tried the others other than Crystalline Conflict and Frontline. That's fine. I haven't tried Rival Wings either. Is it good? Is it fun? Does anyone know? Anyone here tried Rival Wings? It's because Rival Wings has been out of commission for a long time, I believe, so I haven't had the chance to try it. Notice this Rival Wings is decent. There's something with like vehicles and stuff, right? And Rado says, was lucky to find a game. What? Is the queue time really long? Or what's happening? Oh. Oh, right. I get it. I get why. I heard people complain that there isn't a Rival Wings daily challenge. I don't understand why it's Frontline and it isn't Frontline and Rival Wings. Like, just add Rival Wings to that. Then there's at least a 50% chance. If they don't want to clutter up the roulette window more than they've already done. It's just a soda. Finally! It's really awkward when we get these really long queues. There's a lot of people are still waiting on the Frontline rework they announced around 6.1. They announced a Frontline rework? I thought they just announced that there was going to be a PvP rework and that's what we're in now. Like, we're here. That's not a lot of fancy images, guys. What happened? What happened? Why is everyone on the boring portraits? Are people afraid of standing out because then the enemy will focus you down? What's happening? Gold says, that's me, I'm that player. What? Oh, you're the player with the stone face portrait, you mean? Oh, it says they were gonna fix Frontline. Oh yeah, there's some incredibly buggy stuff or janky stuff you can do in Frontline. I believe Onsal Hakai is the worst one. Where's our tank? Oh, he's dead. Excellent. Why did he just run in like that? Yeah. That miracle of nature. That was an interesting end result. I think I don't think I've ever tanked that much damage ever before in the game. Everyone just spent their biggest attacks on me. And there was the summoner limit break. And I had nothing else left. And there's the dancer limit break. And we're down to 2 people. I think it's a mistake to just go in. That was an incredible timing on that explosion there. As bad as it could possibly be. Can you leave me alone, mate? That was the most annoying player I've had to deal with in a long time. Wow. And my combo didn't kill. Of course it didn't. And Miracle of Nature. And I think I'm dead. Yeah. And we need to push the crystal to 50%. 51% if it goes to overtime. And we're all dead. Oh dear. And Dancer limit break on the crystal, of course. I don't think we can turn this around like this. We just keep prolonging the match, and that's pretty much it. There it is. We tried. It's really strange. It feels a lot like somehow every match the opposing side just somehow can do more. It makes no sense, and it's probably just me that isn't noticing things. The problem is that I can't see what I'm doing wrong, which is what frustrates me a bit. Roller says, the score in Frontline is bad. It's so bad that people complain to be in games for nearly an hour. It's crazy the horror stories you see. I don't know, back in Season 1, which I'm pretty sure was 6.1, wasn't it? I played Frontlines, and it wasn't such a big of a deal. At some point, people discovered there was this gimmick you could do with Paladin, which was particularly annoying in capture point style matches, like I believe it's on Savlakai. Yes. Seal Rock is also annoying. If the Paladin uses Hallowed Ground and Guardian on someone else, then you can't stop that other person from capturing a point, because they don't take damage. The Paladin is taking damage, but they're using Hallowed Ground. And most of those captures take less than 10 seconds channeling to do, which means that the Paladin can reliably, consistently cover someone from start to finish, capturing something, and if the Paladin is using Hallowed Ground, there's no counterplay. Like, genuinely, there's no counterplay, because the only counterplay is kill the Paladin, but the Paladin is specifically immune to death for 10 seconds. So there is no counterplay. It was bad enough that I remember I saw someone say they sent in a ticket, like a support ticket, to ask whether it was working as intended or it was a bug and you shouldn't do it because it could get you banned if it was bug abuse, and was told that no, that's working as intended, you're supposed to play around it. To which the person could only say, how? How do I do that? Tell me how to kill an invulnerable Paladin. Is there anything you can do? And I'm pretty sure there is not anything you can do. I do remember, Lowell, you said that you had problems with your portrait as well, so I'm guessing that's what you were referring to. I'm not sure what we're focusing, but it seems like we got something. But the enemy is really clumping up right now. Nice. Look at this. What's happening? What did we do different? Like, please tell me what we did different this match. I really can't see it. It just feels like we did the same thing we did the other matches, and this time it just worked. It feels like we're suddenly in such an overwhelmingly strong position that the opponent is having trouble even fighting us at all. But maybe not. I could just see the red mage just looking at me like in the eyes, like, wait a minute. The Machinist is on drill. And they're just looking at me, not attacking. I'm dead, right? And then they just dropped guard. Someone is behind the scenes messing with me. Maybe. Nah, I think it's just... There's something subtle that I'm not, like, observing that is happening significantly differently in between the matches. But it does feel like it's very overwhelming which team is winning, which is not the most fun way to play. In my opinion. Just looking at the time, we have like 1 or 2, maybe 3 matches left. So it would be nice if we can just like now we had a win. It would be nice if we had like 1 more win. I'd just rather not, as we just had a huge losing streak just to end on. That's not the most fun way to end a stream. Brea watching you in PvP matches, to be honest. Unleash Ultima! That's a good one. And then the other team is just eh. We're up against Truck Driver Jill, everybody. Truck Driver Jill. Not to be confused with any other kind of Jill. Specifically the truck driver. Uh-oh. Red mage? Oh, Paladin has their cover up. It's fine, I'll just kill you instead, I guess. Why did he get knocked that way? And he gets the heal through as well. Excellent. Such wasted damage. Where's my team? Oh, someone died. So many stuns, man. Looks like the Dark Knight managed to soak some damage with their limit break. And managed to recover too. And then died. Ow. Worth it. Worth it. Worth. You can't unkill yourself, ninja. I got you. I got you, mate. Oh boy, this is a problematic position. I can't go in. Yeah, push the crystal. Why would you want to do that? Then we'll just die. Drill. Oh, both of the Dark Knights used Limit Break at, like, almost at the same time. Oh, that was a guarded ninja. And I wasted my limit break. Great. Now in this position where we can't really win. We're just delaying the inevitable anyway. We have time for one more. We could try a different job next week. If you guys would find that more entertaining than Machinist again. Then I can figure out what to do about that. Mail says try Slamurai. I don't know if that's a typo, but that sounds fun. Slamurai. I think I would find that incredibly difficult since I hardly play melee. But it would be worth a try. Samurai tends to not show up much, it seems like. So there could be an advantage in people being uncertain how to deal with it. Strawberry key. The dragoon. Oh, we got someone. Nice. Wow, okay. That was a strong reply. It said Earth's reply. Most of the evening we've only had like 1 or 2 monks, I feel like, and suddenly we have a match with 2 of them. Very strange. This is chaos! Oh, there's a Dragoon limit break. It only hurt 2 people, so it's not that bad. Ah! They took a potion. And our summoner is a rager, by the way. You know the type. The ones that start spamming target to ignore on people when you make a single mistake. But gets awfully quiet when they themselves die, don't they? Weird. Funny how that works, isn't it? Use your math degree to win the game. If only I could do that. Hmm. I don't think this was gonna happen with a raging summoner on the team anyway. Well, I think that's gonna be the last match. Unfortunately, 2 losses in a row right there at the end. I don't know if it's the map that is problematic for Machinist, or if it's me getting exhausted in the last hour, or if I'm just bad. That's also an option. Maybe I'm just bad. But it doesn't help when a match includes a rager. The whole marks people to tell them that they did something wrong. I think I talked about this last stream as well. If your party, and I'm just gonna say this as a piece of advice, if any of you decide to go into Crystalline Conflict, if any party members in your team in Crystalline Conflict starts doing anything wrong, like significantly wrong, and you feel like calling them out, here's the thing. If you start calling them out, they're going to get confused and afraid. And ultimately, they're going to play worse for it. And if they play worse, you're not winning because you're mad because you're already losing, right? So don't do that. And also, if you do it enough times, people will start reporting you, and it is actually punishable to do that toxic behavior in Crystalline Conflict. So don't do that. Don't rage on your team by putting annoying markers on people to point fingers at them for making a mistake. Just remember that in about 15 seconds, you might make a mistake and die, and then it's gonna be very awkward. When you were trying to play high and mighty just a moment ago, right? So don't rage in PvP. Just try to get your best out of it. If your party isn't doing what you want them to do, tough. You can't teach them now. They'll have to learn on their own. That's the whole thing with random parties. Now, that leads us to the end bit of the stream, where I normally answer some questions if you have anything you want to ask. And Rala says, I know I'm winning when I get teabagged. You know what? If someone teabags you in Crystalline Conflict, that you can do. That's a one time and you can report them, and that should actually be punishable as far as I heard. You're also not allowed to throw fireworks at corpses, in case you're interested to know that. That is also off limits. You're not allowed to throw fireworks at people's corpses. That is considered bad manners. Toxic. I'm not sure what the punishment is for bad manners in PvP, but I mean, you can get reported and banned for being particularly crass enough in chat. If people choose to report it, like if they get genuinely offended. Which of course means that if you think it's funny that you get teabagged, then good on you. But it's really funny because a lot of people got mad when they got told that that kind of behavior wasn't allowed in Crystalline Conflict because they felt like it was part of PvP to be toxic. How do I report people in Final Fantasy? I'll show you, Ralu. So, I'm not gonna send a report, but let's say that Bob teabagged me in Crystalline Conflict in the match we had just now. So I open support desk, so you see here, you can see my mouse, go system, support desk, contact us, report harassment, because it's harassment. Click there, and then you go, I don't know, you could say toxicity, or you could say bad bad show of sportsmanship if you want to be really, really polite about it. And then here you just write Bob, Bob the Dragoon, at Cerberus, for instance, and then you say the Volcanic Heart, or you could also say ranked Crystalline Conflict, the Volcanic Heart. It's approximate date and time of the incident, and then I see up here server time is 9, so my match started around 8:55 server time, so I say 8:55 p.m. server time, 4th of October 2022, the detailed description of the incident, and then you go, Bob repeatedly threw fireworks at my corpse whenever I died in the match. I found he also teabagged me this one time. And let's say that the person was on your team, that would make this part very dubious. Why would he be memeing on your corpse if he's on your team? But if he then also did that whole shebang with marking you and stuff like that, then you could just go and copy paste things like, and now you didn't see, you saw, I explained to you that this summoner before was being a bit toxic, but you can see here that I have actually the exact timestamp and everything, and it might be preferable to adjust the timestamps to match the server time if you're gonna do that, or remove the timestamps entirely, or somehow let them know that the timestamps are for a different time zone. And then you can of course also add that it was in party chat if it related to party chat. And when you've added all of the information, you click finish, and then it'll say something to the effect of "Thank you for for letting us know. We will deal with the issue." And in most cases, you within 15 minutes, like typically when I've sent a report for something, within like 15 minutes, I get a response. And you can click the responses, like, I can't remember if you have to click here, or if like just shows like a letter, and you just open that, where they tell you that they're gonna do something about it. Meaning that either, you know, they're writing a warning to the person in question, Bob the Dragoon, that he was a big dum-dum, and that we should keep in mind next time that he's been mean previously. Or maybe they go to contact the person. Either way, what you, the reporter, is going to be told is that they're gonna do something about it, but they can't tell you what, because that would not be super smart to let the player base know exactly what they do to the people that you report. I don't think that's in good taste anyway. What would matter most to me if someone has harassed me is that they know that they did something wrong. I don't care how they get punished. That's up to Final Fantasy XIV's GMs to decide. And they have a pretty like clear-cut rule set, like examples of what gives you a strike on your account, what can get you suspended. And I'll just have you know, if you are playing with the idea of doing something that might be, you know, reportable, if someone reports you for something, that you do something bad, some sort of bad behavior, and the team decides to punish you, even if it's a vocal warning and that's it, these warnings stay on your account for like 2 years before the the power of that particular warning, I believe it is at a half or a third of the value by that time. Like it has like half time, like nuclear atoms and stuff like that. it takes a long time for your account to get back in good standing. So don't be that guy. Treat people with respect. Be nice. And Rallo says, oh, okay, this could have been useful, like that one person in Limsa joining free companies just to grab their money and leave the free company afterwards and repeat after that. Well, unfortunately, in these cases, I believe the GMs will say that that's not something that is reportable. That is on the free company to not allow that. Just to be clear, watch this, Rallo. So I'll show you my free company because I happen to have my own free company. If you could hypothetically join a free company, walk right up to their company chest and take money out of it, that's because the free company has decided to give the default rank the permission to do so. You can see here, I can make it allowed. Like, I could do that. I'm not gonna do that. But it's as easy as just a setting. So if the default rank in your free company is allowed to take money, that's actually not the game master's problem. That's your mistake. You should have changed it. You could argue that it's not really... There's not any reasonable argument that could be made that this person took the money for good reason. Obviously, that was intentionally bad behavior, but the free company allowed it, so they didn't do anything illegal. Does that make sense, Rallo? I hope that makes sense. Mail says, a long time ago, someone took half of our free company's guild and then left. He was reported, and even though the free company didn't get the guild back, the guild was taken from his character and he did receive a ban. Oh, okay. In that case, apparently I don't know the rules there. I guess I got that one wrong. That's good to know, Mail. The good news on that is that the person will know to not do it again. Exactly, it was clearly malicious intent. There's a good reason why the free company wouldn't get their guild back either. Because with things like guild, just in general, money in games, for them to give the free company the money back, they would have to produce the guild out of thin air, and GMs producing guild, like producing items in general out of nothing, tends to not go down well because maybe something goes wrong. Maybe. It's simply not worth the risk. And you could also say that the free company not getting their money back also teaches them to fix their rules. There was a punishment for their mistake. The culprit didn't get away scot-free, but they have, like, that free company, I assume, no longer allows the lowest rank in the free company to take money, right? Like, I'm not going to claim that I'm some super genius on how free companies should be ran. In fact, it's not like I'm in a big free company. We have 16 people and it's mostly friends. But just the chest access, right? It was one of the officers. Oh, okay. I guess it was one of those times where they, someone said something, officer was angry, was gonna leave, but they were gonna go out with a bang, something like that. But that one is difficult to police. I guess, Mail, your example is like the worst best case scenario. The person got punished severely and you couldn't really do anything about it because the person had legitimately become an officer through, you know, being there for a long time. He transferred servers quickly afterwards. I guess he didn't want to be near you, which is understandable after he had made himself an enemy like that. Anyway, piece of advice on chest management if you ever own your own free company. You can modify who can touch which chests as you please. So make sure that the people that have the full access across the board are only people that you really trust. You can see in the roster here that we have 2 ranks with the same name. That's because we have a 3-sided leadership. I'm only the one true leader in name. I don't make any like free company decisions on my own. But you can see that we all have all rights, everything. But then as you go down the list, you can see that apparently the 5th chest access is only available to the leaders, and so is crystals, because why would you want crystals? If you want crystals, you can just ask. And it's specific, and now you might be saying, "What? That's an interesting rank names," but it's called it's an academy. So the economy students get to touch the money, and they get full access to the workshop and everything. They have the highest access. The engineers don't get access to 4 and 3. They don't even get access to the money. And the reason why they get access to 2 is because the workshop stuff is in the 2nd column. The architects just get housing privileges, nothing else. And then the regular students, which is the base rank, they can take anything they want from the first tab, which I believe just holds random stuff. And then we have a quarantine rank if someone gets hacked or something for any reason, so we don't have to kick them from the free company. We can just put them in the quarantine rank until they get it resolved. I would recommend having something like this, but you don't need something like this because you can just kick the person. They can get reinvited, although they're gonna lose their FC room if you do that, so that's not super cool either if you can do it differently. Okay, that is a little bit of a long story. Anyway, Mail says, FC leader went missing in action, so the free company got transferred to me, just because I was the most active member at the time. Right now, only ones with access are members who have been in as long as I have. That's a good idea. For the most part, the leadership in my free company, there's almost one awake among us 24/7 because of interesting time zones. You may have seen the weird time for the Mount Farm stream Sunday because of our interesting time zone choices. So if someone looked in the company chest and wanted something, there would always be someone with access that could say, yes, you can have it, or no, you can't have it. It's way safer than passing out rights to people all willy-nilly. It's just safer to put the rules very strict. And I do agree that is a good choice, Mail, to do it like that. Are there any, like, other questions? We're just discussing free company stuff and reporting players. Are there any questions to anything in the game? Because that's, like, I usually also take some time to answer that here at the end of the stream if there is anything. And Adam also says, sounds a bit funny throwing fireworks, I'm being honest. Yeah, there was a lot of people that said that, because the reason why I know fireworks is also bad sportsmanship and punishable is because in the post where the dev team, well, the Final Fantasy 14 team explained what was bad sportsmanship and reportable. They explained that repeatedly sitting on someone, teabagging, spamming markers on somebody, which is why the people that get angry only mark people once. And then randomly they mentioned the fireworks thing, and a lot of people went, you know what? Honestly, if someone threw fireworks at my corpse, I would be more impressed by the fact that they bothered to use an OGCD, because it takes an OGCD to throw fireworks. Just to BM me. Which I agree with, that's hilarious. Mail says, whereas in WoW, there's an item that lets you plant a faction flag on the body of the players that you kill. Yeah, you can straight up, there's a sort of, well, I mean, that's more in-universe, but it's almost like in-universe BMing, right? And Rallo says, I got a friend that wants to try Red Mage. I want to recommend your guide. The only issue it was made in Shadowbringers, but is it still up to date with Endwalker? So, yes, there's a few things where it's slightly off, Ralu. But what you can do, Ralu, is you can recommend my Red Mage Primer, the level 50 guide, and then tell them you should also watch the first like 2 minutes of the level 50 to 90 guide, because in those first 2 minutes I explain everything that's different. The things that are different, I can show you. Probably easier to just show you. There's 2 specific things that are particularly different. Switch to our more casually relaxed UI. That is almost the same. Red Mage. So the first difference, well, there's 3, but the last one is very, very insignificant. The first difference is that acceleration works in a completely different way. In Shadowbringers, you use it, and then the next 3 times you use the Thunder or the Arrow, they're guaranteed to activate the Stone or the Fire. In Endwalker, acceleration makes your next impact do more damage, or your next the Thunder or the Arrow is and also it makes impact, the Thunder and the Arrow instant, and makes it so that they're guaranteed to proc the Stone or the Fire, and impact does extra damage. Oh, okay. See you, Mail. Thank you for watching. Nice to see you. And that's the first change. I believe there's also something with the cooldown. The second charge on acceleration you get on far higher levels, so that wasn't even with it like a possibility back in Shadowbringers. It's like 84, I think. 88. The second change is in Shadowbringers you needed 80 black and white mana to do your melee combo. In Endwalker you need only 50. However, the Endwalker spells that generate mana generate proportionally less. So like the cost of doing your melee combo has been reduced by 37.5%. However, the mana generation of your spells has been across the board reduced by somewhere between 30 and 40% to compensate. It doesn't change much in how you play the rotation. You're still supposed to play it in the exact same way. There's just some things that are a little easier to do because you don't have to, use your melee combo immediately when you can afford it, because you have half of your bar to work with. The third change, which is much less significant, is that Lucid Dreaming gives 10% more mana than it did in Shadowbringers. This changes nothing. You're probably going to use it anyway. You're not going to use it any different. But it gives 10% more mana. And then also you have sleep. That's it. All of these things should be in the start of the high-level Red Mage guide. Adam says, hopping in on that, are there any changes with the Paladin 1 to 50 guide that you made that I should know about? Let's see, in level 1 to 50, there are no new traits, nothing changed here, nothing changed here. There is a few potency things. You might be able to remember it better than me, Adam. I'm pretty sure that I suggest that you do the AoE combo when there's at least 3 targets, is that right? I think it's at 3 targets. But if I say 2 targets, then that is one thing. That should probably be on 3 targets. I think. Let's see, 200, 300, then 330. Yes, so the 1, 2, 3 combo, it's a little off, I think. I need to go into a dungeon real quick just to test it. And if you've ever wondered how I get the low level tooltips when my character's already max level, this is how. Just enter something where you get scaled down. So let's see, 150, 230, 330. Okay, right. You should use the AoE combo on 2 targets, because the Total Eclipse Prominence combo does 135 potency on average per GCD, which means 270 on 2 targets. The 1, 2, 3 combo does what did I just see? It did 237. So it's like 33 potency increase to do the AoE combo on 2 targets. I hope that makes sense, Adam. That's one thing that is different. If I didn't say 2 targets in the original guide, I believe it's over a year ago I made that guide now. The second thing that is different is, I say in the guide that you can use Spirits Within twice every minute, but that Circle of Scorn tends to drift because it has a 25-second cooldown. It's 30 now. What that means is that if you pair Spirits Within and Circle of Scorn together, they will always line up together. The main concern here is that in the original guide, I say you can use Circle of Scorn on cooldown because it doesn't matter. It gets a damage boost from Fight or Flight, but because Fight or Flight's cooldown is, well, its duration is 25 seconds, there's a 100% chance that Circle of Scorn is going to land in that window because its cooldown is 25 seconds. This is no longer the case, so you will have to adjust it so that Circle of Scorn lands in the Fight or Flight manually by delaying it at the start in your opener. That's the second thing. I think that's the only 2 things. That is, if I said that the AoE combo should be used on 3 targets, you can use it on 2 targets at level 50. When you get to level 54, you should probably use Goring Blade instead. To spread dots on both targets, if there's 2 targets. But typically there's more than 2 targets or only 1. So it's not that bad. Does that make sense, Adam? Or did it go a little too fast? It's okay if it went a little too fast. I understand that it can be really, really confusing to have numbers thrown at you in speech. So if you didn't really get it, I'll try again. Rollo says, will you ever make a new samurai guide? Yeah, I should, shouldn't I? There's actually a bunch of guides where it would make sense to remake them. The reason why I haven't really done it is because I feel like remaking the whole, like, Paladin guide, for example, for those 2 changes is really small. Like, you have to keep in mind that it doesn't take me less time to remake it. Because if I'm making an Endwalker version of the guide, then I would have to re-record all of the footage. I would have to re-grab all of the tooltips. I would have to basically remake the entire guide from start to finish. So the fact that I've already covered it doesn't like reduce the workload for me beyond to the fact that I have, you know, a manuscript that I could adjust a little bit. So I don't know if it would, like, for instance with the Paladin one, those 2 changes, I think they're both mentioned in a pinned comment on the guide itself. I think. I'll check. It should. Let's see here. Yep. It doesn't really... It doesn't mention the AoE combo thing, but I seriously can't remember if it's 2 or 3 targets. However, at level 50 and 40, most of the fights you're gonna do, where there's 2 targets, they're about to die anyway. It doesn't really matter whether you're gonna do the 1-2-3 combo or your AoE combo. There's a likely chance you're just gonna do your AoE combo because it's easier. And that's fine, because it's the superior choice anyway. Some guides where it makes a lot better sense to remake them would be like the high-level samurai guide. And there might be a reason to make guides on stuff like... So my high-level paladin guide doesn't mention at all the ridiculous opener that you may have seen in my recent short. Because I didn't know it existed at the time. It didn't occur to me that someone would be crazy enough to come up with such an opener. It did occur to me that you could do that, but I couldn't possibly believe that it would be optimal to do it like that. So there would be a reason to make a level 90 version of certain job guides that specifically cover like max level strategies, tricks, stuff like that, things you can optimize. But the thing is, with remaking guides, is that there's a lot of my Shadowbringers guides that could use, you know, a little bit of a tune-up. Just a little bit. But each of them takes days to remake. So it feels like there would be like things that you guys would rather see than me remaking all those guides, because the guide is there and there's a note on the video that tells you what is slightly off and things like that. I don't know if you guys would prefer to have weeks and weeks of guides that are remade. But it's a good question, especially the will you ever make a new samurai guide? Because the removal of chitin really says, oh yeah, you should have added the monk opener with 100 dragon kicks in your short, unless you didn't have enough time. Well, the short was at 56 seconds and they're capped at 1 minute precisely. So I would have had to cut something else, and I believe the 100 dragon kicks, like the dragon kick spam monk thing, is a rotation. Like not just an opener, but specifically like a rotation, which is a whole different story. Like a separate short on weird rotations might be in order. The big question is which ones there are worth making. Because the ridiculous rotations that I know of is the Black Mage has a ridiculous rotation and I'm not even sure how it works, but some tricks to repeatedly cast Paradox. I don't know how viable it is. And then there's the Monk Dragon Kick thing. And then I don't really know if there are any others. Do you guys know any weird rotations other than those two? Because I certainly don't. I mean, you could argue that the Samurai rotation is a little weird at times. Because by construction, because the way the Samurai rotation works is that you try to line up the optimal Samurai rotation, which you may have seen in my high-level Samurai guide, is that you make an effort to make it so that you reach having 3 Zen and plenty of Kenki gauge, if you can, around every minute, like exactly on the dot, every minute. Which you can track by looking at Tsubame Gaishi's cooldown, because that'll be ready every minute. And then you just make sure to time that. But to get it to be every minute, you know that it takes 8 GCDs to get the full Zen. That takes, without any skill speed, it takes 20 seconds. But you have skill speed because Shifu gives you a lot of skill speed just out the gate. So you want to make sure that you can, you know, do full 8, spend it with any Aijutsu, and then another full 8. And then it should be the case that you know, do whatever burst you want to do, and then that adds to the next minute, right? So if it takes 15 seconds to do your burst, hypothetically, then you do 8, and then any Aijutsu, and then you do another 8, and without any skill speed, that would be 42.5 seconds. There's going to be skill speed, so it's going to be less. But ways you can circumvent that is, for instance, it takes 1 GCD to do this, and it doesn't progress or cancel your combo. So you can use this Yaten NP strategy to like extend your sequence with 1 GCD without messing anything up. It's kind of weird, but it works. And it's just one example. Another example is like you do Hakase, Yukikase, and then you use Hakakure, which spends 2. And if for some reason you needed to spend 3, you just do something like 1, 2, 3 with Gecko and then Hakakure. That's a little weird for rotation, but it's not. It's not weird like the Paradox rotation or the Dragon Kick rotation. Like, I think it would be very confusing to go and make a video like that. It could be like, oh, have you heard about the weird Monk Dragon Kick rotation that is almost as good as just doing a proper rotation? Or how about the Paradox rotation for Black Mage that is really weird? It gives you a lot of movement actually, but it's not that good. But how about Samurai, who does this normally as part of its actual proper rotation? It's not that weird. So it would be like a weird punchline to a joke, right? It's like the Paradox or Dragon Kick rotation is weirder than the punchline itself. So I don't know how I would make a video like that. Maybe a video on the individual open, like rotation, to talk about it in a minute? That could be a thing. Notice says, I actually see you successful in the... You do the weird Final Fantasy facts opener stuff on your shorts. Oh yeah, there's the fun facts, could also be in the shorts. Just instead of just being a fun fact stated with no demonstration of footage at the end of a video, there's just a fun fact alone in a short. That could be a thing. That would also be a lot easier to make. I want you to know that it took me 5 hours to make that short that I put up recently. I did a lot of editing. But it would be really helpful if I could just like make small adjustments to guides. Part of the reason why I don't think it's super helpful to make new versions of existing guides is also because often people have difficulty finding them. Because, you know, they don't have as many views as the existing ones. It took a long time for my remade Black Mage guide in Endwalker to start overtaking the old one in Shadowbringers in views, even though the Shadowbringers one is incredibly outdated. And I think I both had like a card appear in the top right of the video when you open it, and a message in the comments section with a link. I tried my best, and what happened was that eventually the amount of views that came on the new guide matched the amount of views on the old one. So, you know, every time someone opened the old one, they saw the new one advertised and opened that one instead. But yeah, a short on smaller things that don't involve too much editing could probably work. I made a huge mistake out of making a short on something that requires like 5 or 6 footage takes and like 10 fancy, well-edited pictures of different kinds. And fancy animations to make it really pop. And then I also spent time looking for music. And I had to figure out how to make a short in the first place. I could probably make a lot more shorts if people enjoy that kind of content by not covering subjects in the way that takes that long to make nice, if that makes sense. It's not to say that I would make low quality videos, it's more like make the video in a way that it makes sense and looks nice without requiring me to spend 5 hours on 1 minute of content. That is a good idea, Ralu. Just covering weird subjects in the game that don't really have enough meat on it for a real big video and just put it in a short. I think that's a good idea. I'll look into doing that. I also have a incomplete promise to Pokeshack about reading some of the tales of Final Fantasy XIV. So that's also something that I need to get around to. But I should look into if any of the job guides need a little remake. Would you add PvP clips on your shorts? Probably not. If you mean like me doing something really cool in PvP, probably not. I'm not that... I don't feel like I'm good enough at PvP to know what is like a highlight reel. I guess it's always cool to like kill multiple people at once with Red Mage's Limit Break, or sniping someone 50 miles away with Machinist. But it's not really that entertaining, is it? It's like we've seen that. We saw the limit break, its tooltip, and concluded that that was something that could be done, and then people did it. So I don't think I would do PvP clips. Maybe explain something in PvP? That could be a thing. But I wonder if I would have enough time to explain something in enough depth in a short. I don't know. Could be a thing, but it would probably be more about explaining how things work in PvP rather than highlighting something. I hope you got what you needed out of the question about the Paladin guide, Adam. Because I do understand, as I said before, that talking math and numbers can be really confusing. I do have a little trick that I've looked into to be able to explain it like in a little better way, but it takes me some time to set it up, so that's why I asked if it was fine. And that's good to hear. I'll write down those things, Ralu. I'll actually do it now so I don't forget it. And there we go. Yes. So, just to repeat what I said earlier, on Thursday we're going to be having Can I Solo That, which is in the second stream of this series where I go and see if I can solo some old content in Final Fantasy XIV. Last time we had it, I spent like a good hour and 30 minutes or so trying to beat 09S, which I have discovered is soloable by research, not by trying. It can be done. I just needed to be a little better at the boss mechanics. However, Sunday, so 2 days ago, we did stuff like 04S and 08S with 5 people. And for 04S, it seemed very clear that if you do the mechanics correctly, there's a good chance that you can solo it. And 08S, it depends a little bit on how mechanics get adjusted when you're only a single player. But if it works the way I think it does, it might very well be doable alone as well. I don't really get much out of doing it alone because I already have the mounts, but it would be interesting to see if it's possible to solo some of the earlier fights in Omega. From 1 to 12, we'll see what we can do. And then if people come with suggestions throughout the stream, then I might try that instead. So if you have an idea for something that we should try soloing, make sure to leave a comment on my community post with the weekly schedule. That is the easiest way for me to see it, because I will absolutely pass through and check that. And Rallo says, is there a class you want to exist in Final Fantasy XIV? Yeah, what would that be? Oh, I have one. Here's a good idea. I've talked about the fact that the old style of summoner being removed from the game by virtue of reworking it to the new summoner both leaves a gap in that there is no longer like a pet-centric job as a DPS. The closest we have to a pet-centric job is Scholar, and they get like the control of Eos and Celine gets less and less important because they keep increasing the range of them. So it's not really that much of a pet class anymore. It's that at least not that much pet control as it used to be. But it also left a hole in the way that there's no longer a dot-centric job. There's nothing that actually focuses heavily on the damage over time effects. The closest that we have is that Black Mage does care about Thunder because of the proc that does damage. So, incidentally, the Black Mage cares about Thunder for a proc that does immediate damage, not damage over time. And then there's Bard that applies their dots, but they pretty much just apply the dots for free damage. They don't care that much about it. It's like they apply the 2 dots and then they do Iron Jaws. Done deal for the rest of the fight. And that's the closest we get to a dot job. Now, that's a really long preparation for what I'm going to suggest. Fencer. Fencer? As a melee DPS that applies poison and bleed and stuff like that, like multiple dots, and have to manage them, like instead of having like just like immediately apply dots like effects, they have to like build up a resource, a bit like how Samurai has to use Higanbana. And then they use that resource to apply different dots and effects. And then when they've applied a certain number of effects and, you know, everything is running, they can have an execute sort of effect that maybe does extra damage based on the number of dots there are on the target. Like how Festa used to work back in Shadowbringers and before that. That job would probably be extremely annoying to level in the open world, or it might very well have some trouble on AoE, because surely its AoE should also be sort of dot-centric. But they could have AoE finishers or spenders that apply dots in the same way. Which would also reflect a little bit the old style of summoner, where you would apply dots to one enemy and use Bane to spread it to everything. A bit like how Scholar in PvP works right now, where they use deployment tactics to spread their biolysis to enemies. But yeah, a class you want to see in Final Fantasy XIV, I would like to see Fencer as a dot melee DPS. I think that would be super interesting. However, I wonder if that would ever happen, considering Red Mage already has dibs on the rapier. And Ralo says, I want to see you solo E4S as a paladin. I know that I can solo E4 normal as a warrior. I don't know if it's possible to solo E4S, but I haven't tried, so it would be worth giving it a shot, just to see like how far can we get. I would imagine that it is not possible to solo it because it's one expansion old. But it's worth trying, just to see how far it is possible to get. With Paladin or Warrior, really. We'll see. I might start with testing that. Maybe. I'll keep it in mind, Ralu. Alright, in that case, if there's no further questions, I think this is also a decent time to close off the stream. So thank you all so much for watching. It's been really nice. We got really significantly further in ranking and then dropped almost all the way back down to where we started again. But at least we're still in Diamond. So we ended in Diamond. And we got 2 series levels, which is also nice. Maybe we'll try a different job next week. Maybe we'll do some more Machinist. Either way, thank you all so much for watching, and depending on where you are in the world, good morning or afternoon or good night. See you all very soon, or possibly on Thursday. Good night.